Brian. I haven't declared my major yet. I guess I'm bipolar in terms of my interests.
Hi, I'm Ben Glass, and unlike Brian, I'm actually literally bipolar.
On a scale from 1 to 100, what do you think your level of functioning is?
1. Thank you for everything.
Is this what you really want? You have to choose. I'm not doing both.
Thanks for talking to me today.
Yes, thanks for having me on your show, Jeff.
Oh, absolutely. Man, your story is so fascinating. And, I went to film school and at UNLV, and the first day in screenwriting classes, they, write what you know. So this movie based on your life struggle, but there were consequences, not only just struggling to tell your story, but it just kind of put you over the top at one point.
Yeah, actually, when I started writing, I wanted to write something like The Graduate, honestly, because I could relate a lot to Benjamin Braddock, and The Graduate is also one of my favorite films. It just started to become more and more autobiographical the more I worked on the script.
And writer, editor, director, star, so many hats you're doing here, Aaron. Which role surprised you the most out of all of those, being your first-time filmmaker?
Which role surprises me the most?
A writer, editor, director. What was like, you wore so many different hats. So it's like,
right.
Editor was the most difficult, or, what surprised you?
Right. Well, I made a lot of student films in college and even just, on my own. And I always wrote, directed, and starred in them and edited them. So this was just more of the same, except just on a much bigger scale, much more time. So it was, I'd really been training for it for years.
And like I said, I went to film school, so your film, that was really funny, the $5,000 budget, life imitates fiction, doesn't it?
Yeah, that in the movie, he needs 5,500 and he's 5,000 short. And our budget was about $1 million. Even with $1 million, which is a lot of money, when you're shooting in over like 50 locations or something, and they're expensive and everything, the money goes by really fast, actually.
Well, I went to film school in the 90s, and we still used film. Digital hadn't shown up yet. We hadn't used, digital cameras, the digital age, and we were cutting film, and trims and loading 16mm film in Bolexes. And I'm like, man, if I had the digital advantage that these kids have now, I could have gone so much further, because budget-wise, the film was ridiculously expensive. And if you made a mistake, you didn't know till it came back from the lab.
Right. Yeah, I have not made any like sync sound films with using film. Honestly, I've only done silent films, and I don't have much experience with that either. But in terms of cost, I'm sure it would have been more expensive, but like on a bigger budget film, I'm not sure the difference between film and digital is that much of a difference for them, but maybe I'm wrong.
And the subject matter of Inside the Rain is, you're so candid about your mental health, and you shine a light on it, because that's probably the last taboo frontier in this country, is that people don't talk about it. And I think the more people like you that tell your story, the more it becomes, people can discuss it and deal with it.
Jeff, I don't know anything about bipolar disorder. No, I'm just kidding.
Do I have the right guy here? Where's my schedule?
I'm an imposter. I wanted to, I started writing unconsciously at first. I started writing, an autobiographical script, but I didn't mean to. When it became clear that that's what I was doing, then I went along with it. And I was just telling a loosely autobiographical story, and I happened to be bipolar, OCD, ADHD, borderline personality disorder, and the list would go on, but I don't want to bore you. So my character, Benjamin Glass in the film, has all these disorders as well. So, I didn't want to make a film that was like about mental illness. It was more like I'm making a film about Ben, who happens to be bipolar. And then also, his love interest, Emma Taylor, she is the love interest and she just happens to be a sex worker, but you know, she's still like a human being.
And see, that's important. I think that, I ask you about a serious subject matter as bipolar and mental health, and you made a joke. And I think that's important in your film, that you use humor to kind of diffuse that. And I thought that's a really great mechanism.
Well, you know, like I think maybe part of it is that I'm like a goofy guy. When I'm sort of a goofy guy and I have an irreverent sense of humor. But
you're goofy, but looks aren't everything, Aaron,
But you know, like I don't like are films that are preachy, where they're saying this is the way you have to think about something, or you know, I don't want my film to be like the only thing you could get from it is that being bipolar is cool, dating sex workers is cool, and you know, that's awesome. I wasn't trying to tell a film like that. I don't want to force a message down the audience's throat, but you know, I want it to be open to interpretation. And I forgot what was your question again?
I forgot too. I was just fascinated.
Oh yeah, making a joke,
yes, using humor.
And I think that even in drama, you know, I see this film as a romantic comedy, but you know, even if it has dramatic moments and funny moments, and I wanted it to go like back and forth, kind of like in Silver Linings Playbook and also The Graduate. But I feel like this adage that I heard once, I think, was like, you have to make the audience laugh before you can make them cry. And I think there's some truth to that, because sometimes you need to endear yourself to the audience before you can get them to be sad for you. And I feel like if you don't have a sense of humor, you're less, you're less likable. The film is less likable because it takes itself too seriously, and something that's so self-righteous sounding like drives me insane. Like when I see films that are self-righteous in their tone or something, it turns me off.
And you had a great cast for your film. Rosie Perez playing your therapist. And I understand that once she accepted the role, you kind of even expanded her role in the movie and kind of tailor-made for her.
Right. It actually was the opposite. We were, you know, I wrote the role of Dr. Holloway in the script, and the part wasn't, you know, we were aiming for the stars, literally. So Rosie Perez was our first choice to play the psychiatrist, but I was voicing concern to our casting director and the producer, that I said the way the script is, the current role of the psychiatrist is not significant enough to attract a star, is what I thought. So then I said, hold on guys, let's not submit to Rosie Perez yet. I want to spend some time, expanding the part. So I spent about 3 months revising the script to make, not only give Dr. Holloway more screen time, but it was more about making her role more significant to the story and the plot. Like her role has an effect on the story that overlaps with Emma Taylor's, if you know what I mean. And I actually think that doing that, the script became much better as a result. So it was a win-win situation. The script got better, and then I thought it was ready now to send to Rosie. But, I was actually I was shocked though when she said she loved the script and she wanted to talk to me. I was like, and when we talked on the phone for the first time, I was really nervous. I was like shaking, so nervous.
And the great Eric Roberts, playing a producer, and he's always a tough guy, but he's got a good sense of humor, doesn't he? Which was important if you're making a romantic comedy.
Yeah, that character, Monty Montgomery Pennington, his character was always very funny to me. And, we did a month and a half of auditions, 3 days a week in Simple Studios in New York City. And, for all these roles, and including all the roles that we have stars for, we wanted stars, but just in case, we were still also auditioning actors for those roles, including Monty. And, I was disappointed with, none of the actors who auditioned for Monty, I didn't think any of them really got the humor so much. But Eric Roberts like really got the humor. He also did things with it that I didn't even think of. Like I just think it was so funny. Yeah. And also I like him in the movie, within the movie, when you realize he's the cop who's busting Ben in his dorm, and he's like, "Hello, Mr. Scumbag." He's like, "How dare you do this? Everyone at Penrith." Whatever. I think he's hilarious.
And as a filmmaker, it's every filmmaker's dream to get their movie released in theaters. But of course, during our self-quarantine here with the coronavirus, your film's going on the digital platform and, video on demand, which, is, everyone's at home. You're going to have the biggest captured audience in history. So are you optimistic about the success and getting more people to see your film this way?
Yes. We've only just started. I'm hearing that the numbers keep going up like every week. Getting many more thousands of people watching the film and watching it all the way through, not just like clicking on it. I'm not allowed to say other platforms we're going on, but we're going on a couple really big ones coming up that haven't really launched yet, or haven't. And but I'm not allowed to say what they are.
We could probably guess.
So. Well, there's things that haven't really launched yet. But yeah, I'm very, for movie theaters, it was always like, it was like you expected it, the movie to play maybe 1 or 2 weeks in each theater around the country because, indie films don't do well in theaters these days. But we were always
comedies, especially. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were always very optimistic about streaming, video on demand, like buy, rent, or stream it, or play it even with ads, for free. I think we're going to do very well with it.
And are you the type of filmmaker, you made Inside the Rain, you made your passion project? Is there another film in you that you're already working on?
Yeah, people always ask me this question, obviously. I'm just trying to, I'm doing acting coaching via Zoom now, like 3 days a week with my New York City acting teacher. So I'm trying to, hone my skills as an actor. I ordered, before the pandemic, like maybe a month or a month and a half before, I ordered 60 sci-fi novels from Amazon just in one night. It was just an impulse because I wasn't really sure what I wanted to work on, but I was like, sci-fi is the answer. So so now that I have the time, I'm reading sci-fi novels and watching as many movies as I can, and I think that I'm interested in writing a feature-length sci-fi or a TV show and directing it, but we'll see where it goes.
And finally today, being a film critic here for the last 25 years and a film fanatic, classic film fanatic, I have never seen The Graduate. I know, I'm embarrassed by it, and I must have 10 DVD copies that people have given to me over the years. Every time it's on Turner Classic Movies, it's on my DVR, but I still have yet to watch The Graduate. So I think now that I'm quarantined, I think I'll finally get around to it.
Nothing to be embarrassed about.
Well, for a film critic, it is. The Graduate. People say, how do you even get Wayne's World if you haven't seen the movie, Yeah.
Well, I always tell people my top 3 favorite films are Bonnie and Clyde, The Graduate, and 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Incredible. All great taste. Mine are like Jaws.
And they're all from 67 and 68. For some reason, those 2 years, both for movies and music, I'm just like obsessed with it.
Right. Well,
I don't know what it is. It's something.
1968 is when the 60s died, all those assassinations and the political turmoil. They say the 60s died in 1968, and that's when the 70s really started to take over. So, the violence and
Bonnie and Clyde, if I'm not mistaken, was from 67.
But it's close enough. I'm just saying that is when the new voice of Hollywood
period you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, when the new voice of Hollywood, Warren Beatty, and he couldn't get that film made. Great history behind that, and but that's when Hollywood was starting to change. So yeah, it's such a great little era right there. But I love Jaws and The Best Years of Our Lives, which is one of my favorite films, but Bonnie and Clyde, that's a great one too. All those are great. 2001, I saw the reissue last year when it came out, the new 70 millimeter print, and it just blew my mind seeing it on the big screen.
The last time I saw it, I saw a 70 millimeter print at the Lincoln Center with a live score by the New York Philharmonic, and on a balcony to the left was like a chorus, and they did all of the soundtrack to the movie, and everything was accurate to like every exact moment. I couldn't believe it. It was amazing, and it looks
a full orchestra with 2001. You saw the film that way?
New York Philharmonic plus a chorus that was up, like they weren't even on the ground; they were like elevated. Because like you might not notice, but there's stuff in the Odyssey where there's like a lot of choral stuff with the monolith and stuff, and like it was pretty mind blowing. And the 70 millimeter print looked so much better because like I'd only seen it in other prints of it and stuff, and like some of the stuff where it's like set in Africa, like the set. You can see something that looks off, but on this 70 millimeter print, everything looked like perfectly natural.
I've seen 2001 100 times, but seeing it on the big screen, I saw things and noticed things I'd never had before. So
right.
It's just like, and I've seen last year I saw they did a live version at our Performing Arts Center of Psycho. So that was really cool. They had the full orchestra with that. Yeah. So that was good. I've seen a lot of silent film, a lot of Chaplin films with a full orchestra, but then, seeing like Nightmare Before Christmas or Psycho or 2001. I mean, but I know the orchestra leader of the Las Vegas Philharmonic, and it's so expensive to do those kind of performances, the money to pay out for that.
Right.
Well, cool, man. Well, thanks so much for talking to me, and congratulations on the film. And now it's being released on VOD and digital platforms. So I wish you all the success. And when Vegas reopens, you got to come visit us.
Yes, I haven't been to Vegas yet.
Oh, well, when you get here, I'll take you around. I'll give you I'm a native. I'll give you a tour.
Okay.
Thanks so much, Aaron. Good luck.
All right, thank you, Jeff. And also, we're right now, I think we're currently on like 8 platforms, but it's like I said, it's expanding.
Awesome.
You'll see more in May also.
Best of luck with your film.
All right, thank you.
All right, take care.